In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a parts list or a cutting list or a bill of materials for your shaker table project. Now you can see here's an example of one that I've prepared earlier. It's not complete because obviously I want you guys to go through and find the measurements, but I'm just going to show you some tips and tricks how to do this fairly quickly. If you go onto YouTube, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of videos out there that show you how to create a parts list automatically. One of the issues and why I'm not doing it that way is because it introduces a whole lot of compromises in terms of layout and the information and how the information is laid out. The parts list that you see in front of you there, that is a parts list that is particularly well suited for timber, and it's not necessarily specified in terms of AS 1100 that it has to look like this, but this is actually a fairly traditional sort of parts list that you would use, where you've got an item and you've given it a name. In some cases, an item number as well is relevant, but it just depends, because in the case of making furniture where it's got a smaller number of parts to it than say an engineering project or something like that, the name of the item is all that you need. The number of, and then length, width, thickness, and the material that's used. Now, just as a tip, it would help you to have your shaker table open in another tab as well. So you can see there's mine there, because I'll show you how to quickly get measurements off that. Okay, so for you'll want to go down here and go new drawing. And we're going to bring our model in. We want to change our view. That's not what I wanted. We want to change our view to home. And we want to change our scale to 1 in 8 that we've been working with. Well, on most of them, 1 in 5 on the draw. And we'll bring our base view in here and go OK. Now, really quickly, I'm just going to show you what an automatic parts list would look like. So if I bring that in here, it's sort of showing me what its layout's going to be. And we need to have, so you can see there's obviously not enough lines that it's generating in there for that parts list. Bounces around a little bit. And that's because it's the first level. And what that means is it's only giving me tabletop, table frame and drawer assembly. So I mean, if I just click on that, you can see it come in here. That's not of any use for us, really. So I'll just select it and delete it. As an example, I'll now show you the full parts list, all level. I'll bring it in there. Firstly, it doesn't fit on the screen. Secondly, it doesn't have the information that we require. And thirdly, it's got a whole lot of redundant information in there. So it's really just listing our components. For example, we've got a leg and then we've got a mirror of the leg. It just doesn't work. So I'll just again select that and delete it. All right, so how do we do it? We go custom table. We'll bring it in. We don't worry about exactly where it is just yet. Now, to put text into any of these cells, it's just a quick left double click. So we put your caps lock on, and you can see there's some formatting choices over here as well. We're going to play around with those a little bit. We'll start off with the item. How many of them? So the number of. Length. Width. Now we've run out of columns, but all we can do at this sort of single left click level, you can see we've got a few different choices there. So we can actually put in more columns. I'll just drag it onto it's probably easier to see on the white part. So we've got left double click thickness, and again we need another column, and over here material. I mean, it's not a super sophisticated table package, not as sophisticated as say Word or something like that, but it suffices. Now the other thing that we can do, and again it doesn't have features where we can where we can sort of make a certain columns exactly the same. So you kind of have to do it a bit by eye. and just kind of muddle along as you go. So obviously I don't need those to be as wide. Oh, and I don't need this one to be as wide as well. I'll try to keep those pretty much the same. This one I think will need to be a bit wider because there's a few bigger words in there. Might leave that for now. Now the other thing too is obviously we don't have enough rows, but again, that's pretty easy to fix. So it's just a matter of, you can just keep clicking away until you've got enough. Easy to delete as well. Basic, but it's functional. So that's pretty much that. I don't think I need to show you anything more about that. But what I do want to show you is how you can then quickly and easily get the dimensions. Let's go for the leg. The other thing too is you'll see on my example, if I go back to it, this is centered, these are centered, but I've aligned these differently. So I've gone, left aligned down here, and for the numbers, I've aligned them on the right-hand side. So that's just something for you to play around with from a presentation point of view. Leg. How many have we got? Well, hopefully we know that number, but there you go. I've given it to you. If we go back to our shaker table, I'm just going to show you quickly how you can get measurements from things. Firstly, let's just hide anything that we don't really need to look at. So I really just need to have one leg exposed. In terms of if you just want a simple dimension, so I want to know, well, how long is this leg? If I just click on an edge, you'll see down there that dimension turns up. So that's fine for the leg. If I want to know how wide it is, you can see it appears down there. If I want to know how thick it is, you can see it appears down there. Now in this case, those two measurements are the same, 30 by 35 by 35. The other one I'm going to show you, this is where it can get a little bit more tricky. We'll look at the side rail. So for example, how long is this piece of timber? And we need to be, pretty careful with getting that right. Because for example, if I just click on that edge there, that says it's 300 millimeters long, but it's not taking into account our tenons on it. This is where the inspect tool comes in handy. So if I just press I, and I can just maybe select that point there, and that point there, there I've got my measurement. It appears both on the screen and down in the bottom corner. So it's 344 millimeters long. Same with thickness. So again, if I just press escape, if I want to get the width of it, I don't even need to use the inspect tool. I can just click on that edge and it gives me so that's the width there. But again, with thickness, because I don't have a full edge going across, I just press I again. And we'll come in close to make sure we just get the right points. And there we go. We've got our 19 millimeters is our thickness. But I mean, you might already remember that from the actual, from the construction phase. So that's basically all I need to show you in terms of getting the actual measurements. So what you can do is then go through and complete that. Don't forget to complete down here. In the final tutorial, I'm just going to show you quickly some very quick rendering techniques. We're not going to go into it too deeply, but just to make it look a little bit nicer. Then for your assessment submission, you need to be giving me 4 drawings. So you need to be giving me, if we go through it, the full assembly drawing, the draw subassembly, the side frame subassembly, and the parts list.